But how did you even do that without asking me? Do you take me for a pushover? Jungkook, in his deep tenor, with a stern face, said to her. Wine. I I don't know. I'm really sorry. She looked downwards, her voice hesitating, and her eyes red from the guilt. Wine is someone who takes things to her heart. The smallest things can hurt her a lot. She takes the smallest mistakes to her heart, even when no one else got any problem with that. She keeps overthinking about it. Jungkook, known to many as the formidable leader of a feared mafia, possessed a tough exterior that concealed the soft spot he held exclusively for his beloved wife, Wine. Jungkook's presence commanded respect and fear from those around him. His sharp gaze and calculated movements were enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Yet, when it came to Wine, his demeanor transformed. In her presence, he became tender, a side of him unseen by the world. Wine, on the other hand, was a woman of grace and quiet strength. Her love for Jungkook ran deep, a bond forged in the midst of chaos. She stood by his side, the anchor to his dark world. Their love was a delicate dance between passion and danger. Jungkook, inspired by a mischievous impulse, decided to play a prank on Wine. He showed anger over a trivial matter. His stern expressions meant to deceive. Wine, who threw away his guitar, thinking that he got himself a new one few days ago, so there might not be a need for this one. Jungkook, you knew, right? Didn't I tell you that I had it since my childhood? It's the best and only good memory that I have of my childhood. Everything else is something that I want to forget badly. But you threw it away. I don't think I had a childhood anymore. You told me. I don't remember it at all. I'm really sorry I forgot it, she says, her voice full of a guilty gleam. So that's also my fault now, that you forgot about it, he asked, or he almost shouted at her, because the voice was loud enough this time. No, I never said that. I should have remembered such an important thing about you. It's my fault. Please forgive me now, she says, her voice shivering as it showed fear and guilt. Jungkook, forgive you now? Are you tired of me or something? If that's the reason, you could tell me. We can talk about that, not by throwing my guitar. She finally raises her face and looks at him with widened eyes. As the shock was all over her face, she says, where are you taking this, huh? Small things happen in a relationship. That doesn't mean I'm tired of you. As she looked up, he saw the redness in her eyes, covered with fear and guilt that he couldn't see or know before. He decided that he should stop now, as it's getting too far, let alone her eyes showing true regret. Angrily, he went upstairs towards his room, not knowing that he should reveal it was a prank. Otherwise, she would keep thinking about it and her mental health would be disturbed. As soon as he was out of sight, the tears burst out from her eyes, constantly falling until her neck. She let them out when he went away. Otherwise, she tried her best to stop them in his presence. Jungkook, after a while, came out of his room, still having that stern demeanor on his face, to go out of the mansion for an important stuff. Curiosity took over him as his facial expressions turned playful. He smiled and looked here and there to find her. Finally, when he found her in the kitchen, he leaned against the wall to secretly look at her. As he looked from afar, he saw something that was terrifying for him. His eyes widened, and he ran quickly there to stop her from hurting herself. He looked at her with confusing expressions, but they immediately changed when he saw her tears. When Jungkook discovered the unintended consequences of his prank, regret washed over him. The realization that his actions had caused Vine pain struck a chord deep within his hardened heart. Determined to right his wrongdoings, he approached her with sincerity and tenderness. What the hell are you? His expressions a mix of confusion and worry. Vine hugged him while crying as she says, Jungkook, I'm really sorry. I didn't know it meant this much to you. That was a big mistake. Please, I don't know what to do to make up for it. Her eyes constantly flowing tears in his embrace, and she was hugging him tightly, for he was stunned after seeing her. He couldn't move to hug her back and tell her that it's fine. So, the reason Jungkook played such a prank at this time was to surprise her later with the gifts he prepared. All he wanted is to make her a little sad. So when she sees the surprise, she has nothing in her heart but happiness. He didn't play any pranks on her before, so he didn't know this could happen too. After a few seconds, his widened eyes normalized and he hugged her back tightly. Jungkook, you idiot. How do I tell you now? He broke the hug and wiped her tears. He looked in her eyes and said, I really am sorry. I shouldn't have. He hugged her back and apologies poured from his junk. He hugged her back and apologies poured from Jungkook's lips as he held Vine close, soothing her troubled soul. He wiped away her tears, vowing never to let a prank cause her distress again. Fine. It was all. What? She says, her voice affected by shock. He took her hand and laid a soft, yet guilty kiss there. He noticed how she had her eyes locked on him because of the prank. He didn't look at her as he said, I didn't know that it was this bad that you started hurting yourself. he said in a deep growl, for she felt romantic now, but still not out of her anger. He tucked her hairs behind and tickled her on the neck with his lips. She bit her lips to stop herself from laughing. But when she couldn't control, she pushed him away and tried to walk the other side from him. He, determined to not give up, went behind her again and holding her hand to turn her to his side. He held her hand and pulled it towards him, for she fell in his embrace as her hands went to his chest, so close that they could hear each other's breath. There was silence for a moment, and in that moment they did nothing but look at each other and feel the serenity of each other's presence. When she looked in his eyes, his face right in front of her, she melted in his embrace. All her anger washed away from her body, and she felt the utmost kind of calmness and peace. He noticed her expressions changing, and that she needs this now. He hugged her tightly at that moment, which was filled with emotions. I'm really sorry. I would never do something like this again. To think that it hurt you is already a punishment for me. So don't make it worse by being angry on me, please. I cannot take that, he confessed, his voice shaking. She hugged him back tightly and said to him, I know you suffered more than me here. Thank you for being such a protective being that is always around me, making me feel safe, no matter what I do. He broke the hug and they kissed each other, for their night was actually full of emotions. This was also necessary, as it deepened their love like a flame that could withstand any storm. Through moonlit walks and shared laughter, Jungkook mended the fractures in their relationship. He reassured Vian that his love for her was unwavering and that he is grateful for her mere presence.